we start like this? I'll just say this is the Growing Up Aspen podcast episode. Chris might join us, but I'm Andy Collin, and I'm here with Andy Mill, and we're going to talk about our Aspen experiences. Can you start with telling me when the Mill family came to Aspen and some of the places you lived?
Let's back up first. I got to ask you, did you grow up in Aspen?
I grew up in Aspen. I wasn't born in Aspen. I moved in 77, so I just barely saw you up there in the gates when I got there.
So how long did you stay in Aspen?
Till 92.
So you were here for quite a while. My family moved here in 1960.
Oh, yeah.
So my father was in the lumber business in Laramie, Wyoming.
Oh.
I was born in Fort Collins, but we'd spent 7 years in Laramie, and then we moved here when I was 7 in 1960. And my dad took a job at United Lumber, and the skiing part of my life, we had learned how to ski, my father and I, the year before in Laramie up at Medicine Bow. So skiing was a byproduct of my dad's job, so, I just kind of fell into this great paradise of racing, if you will, just by chance.
Wow. Well, what's interesting is I feel like the big difference between there's a big span between your generation and mine, but I feel like my generation was the last one to appreciate and be tied to your generation or the ones that followed a little bit. And part of it is because our parents owned the shops, worked in the stores, and owned homes, and were like part of the community. The Melvilles had the Mountain Chalet, and everybody you went to school with had a story like that. Sandy Monroe owned the music shop or was the teacher for a while, and I feel like now that's starting to change a little bit more and more, where the locals are in an area, which is employee housing, and the big homes and all the homes are kind of getting owned by individuals that aren't necessarily part of the community. They come in and go as they wish, as opposed to you're there 24/7, got your job, got to get your bills, got to do this and that. So it's a different kind of mindset and sort of culture in a sense. And I feel like your dad and lumberyard, that's like
Well, you hit the nail on the head. I don't recognize Aspen. I live up on top of a mountain over here in Starwood. I can see town from here, but I don't go there.
Yeah.
Aspen is a great place to go into the high country. I'm a big bow hunter in the fall. I chase elk with my bow and arrow all fall. Away from Aspen, I shop in Basalt.
Right.
If I want to go out to dinner, I go to Woody Creek Tavern.
Right.
I don't go into town. The problem here is Aspen has become a small, big city. All the stores are Prada,
right,
Gucci, this type of stuff. All the restaurants and the landlords now demand such a high price to have a business that they have to charge at the top restaurants like $125 to $150 for a New York strip.
Yeah.
I took my ex-wife to dinner recently, and it was $360 for both of us.
Oh, God.
So I told her next time we go to town, she's paying. I can only afford that kind of a dinner once a month. But here's the thing about Aspen. It's changed, but the magic will never die.
That is a very good statement, because that's exactly how I feel. In other words, the mountains are the same. What you got out of it back then, you get out of it now. It's just that the folks down the street are a little different.
Well, here's the deal for me. I don't really live here in the winter. I go to Florida where it's warm. I don't want to be around cold anymore.
You got the Jimmy Buffett thing going on.
Yeah, I have great options. I can live in two different places. Skiing for me, once they removed the clock, my whole life was based on a clock as a racer. Once they removed the clock, skiing is boring to me.
Right.
I
Right.
think skiing is great. Okay, look, skiing is fantastic in the fact that when you're sliding on a pair of skis, you have the sensation of freedom. Nobody's telling you to go left or right, how fast or slow you're supposed to go. It's all freedom of choice.
Right.
And in the world, outside of, like, if you play tennis, you always have to have somebody get the ball back to you.
Right.
With golf, it's defined by a hole. You got to get the ball in the hole. You can go fishing, which is really cool because I enjoy fishing and I don't even have to catch fish.
Right.
I'm on the river with a
Right.
bunch of bugs and I can usually catch some. But skiing, as far as the sense of freedom, of the freedom of flying, everybody can gravitate to that.
Yeah.
Kids love it. Adults love it.
Yeah.
But when you've done it your whole life, and it's based on the clock about how fast can I get to a certain from point A to point B, after that, I'm almost 72 years old now. I started skiing down this face of Aspen Mountain in 1960.
Yeah.
I've made every turn on that mountain 1,000 times.
Yeah.
So for
Yeah.
me, it's kind of like, I've run my course. I didn't even ski last year. Usually I come out for a week in March, week to 10 days, and I'll go up in the mountain and take a couple non-stops, and I'm usually on the river. But let's go back to the magic in that. I think, what I see is kind of like a Peyton place up there on Ajax now, where everybody, wants to outdo the fashion mode, looking good, feeling good, and everybody's doing that thing. I'd rather go over to Snowmass, which is a much bigger mountain, and you can hide over there. You go skiing around.
Yeah.
And,
Sam's Knob and stuff. Yeah. Exactly.
But you can pick and choose. Aspen's got 4 different mountains. I've always said Aspen's not the greatest ski area in the world. The town is not the greatest ski town in the world, but it's got the best marriage of any ski town I've ever seen around the world.
Right.
We have a great level of sophistication in this town. We've got 4 great mountains, and you can pick and choose how you want to live your life here. I feel sorry for the people that work here because a lot of the people that basically work the town and keep the town alive and support the people that are coming here, they've got to drive an hour and a half every morning down Highway 82 to get to town. You can't afford the lodging here, or the employee housing is only for a handful of people, but the masses have to come in from Silt now.
Yeah, I when I worked at the Gant, I was a Gant man in 84, 85. And there was a guy that used to be the guy who did a lot of the repair stuff. He would drive like 8 hours. So he'd finish his job, drive home, go get groceries on his way home, go home, eat dinner, go to sleep, wake up, drive to work, and start the whole thing all over again. That was his life. And I'm like, wow, oh my God. And that was back then. So now it's even more so.